Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hi Scott, back again.
I know, back again. What a day it is. We were about to go on our collective lunch break and all of a sudden Mr. Sony kicks the door and says, by the way, would you like a look at the new dashboard? We said, yes, we will. Let's sit down and talk about it. So we've combed the latest video, and it's full of new features. Obviously, you'll be able to see in the screens that we put up that the dashboard has changed. They've kept the XMV in theory. The sort of dashboard itself now has icons towards the top. Every game is given its own content hub, same way as it was on the PS4, but it's way more pronounced now. The icons are much smaller at the top so that they can prioritize all the different information that is on the home screen itself. But I want to just get stuck into all the new stuff, all the new features that made me go, that's cool. I'm glad you're doing it. One of which being mission-specific load states. The example that they gave is using Sackboy, and they brought up all these different mission markers using the PlayStation menu. That's also been redesigned so that it has various little cards that can sort of pop up when you hit the home button, and it'll show you your progress through certain missions and things that you were tracking, maybe trophies or whatever. And you can pick them to leap into regardless of where you are in the save state, which blows everything wide open for me in regards to, maybe you want to retry a boss or something to get like a trophy or something. My mind goes to Sekiro. I don't want to battle through 20 hours of Sekiro to get to one boss. Maybe I can just leap into it straight away. And I love this as a potential example of what that could be. What's your thoughts on all of this so far?
Yeah, it's really neat. I mean, especially recently, I've been using walkthroughs quite a lot, to try and find all of the boxes in Crash 4, for instance, or get through all of the hidden sequences in God of War. So I've been spending a lot of time on my phone trying to find, specific moments. And I think the ability to have it in, a tap of a button, like these hints, and then being able to jump straight into that specific part of the mission or the level or the quest or whatever, all of those things are the exact same thing. I just wanted to continue speaking. That's an awesome little feature to have, in my opinion. It's so cool to just be able to take a part of a game and get there directly. Like you said, if you have a boss that you didn't beat in Dark Souls, you know what I mean, and you didn't want to slog your way back there through a new game or whatever, the idea of being able to jump in and your last save in a specific moment to potentially take them on if you're going to mock up, trophies or whatever, or try to get challenges, that's just so handy. And I think with a lot of these features, it's just in the accessibility of it, and it's something that I might not sit down and think, man, I really need this ability, but when I have it, I will appreciate it so much. That's exactly how they approached the PS4 for me. A lot of those features, even including the share play button, I didn't expect to ever use, but because they were there and they were so accessible, I really fell in love with a lot of them. And that's so cool to be able to say.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So when you go, when you're in game and you can bring up this whole new feature where they've allowed developers to put in specific videos that you can bring up picture-in-picture style to show you how to get past a tough part of a level or to get a certain trophy or whatever. I get that outside of this, there'll be a whole conversation on devaluing platinums and all that. I get that that's going to be a whole thing. But we can talk about that at some other point. I do think for me, it's super handy, and I like the idea of them sort of putting the onus on the devs to be like, okay, you guys know what you created here. This thing is a bit of a hard level or a bit of a a hell of a platforming gauntlet or whatever, depending on what the game is. Do you think as a dev team you need to include something to help players along, or is this just something that the player has to slog through? I like the idea of them putting the onus on that. I think that's really interesting. It's also worth mentioning overall that the general mandate seems to be that they want to keep you in games as much as possible. They don't want you hitting the home button and going back to the console dashboard. They want to do everything inside the the PlayStation home menu, and that also includes party chat and friend stuff and messaging. Messaging now has its own dictation thing, speech to text, because the DualSense controller has the built-in microphone. So if you're, you just want to sort of hit the button, send a message to a friend, you can do all of that while the UI pops up on top of the game that you're playing, and just speak into the controller, and assumedly it'll know what you're saying and then type it out. Never actually had successful diction in my life, or dictation, but it's a potential. But I like the idea of all that stuff. It's worth also pointing out that they have included a marker telling you how long individual chunks of missions will take, which is a complete godsend to the likes of you and me who live on howlongtobeat.com, trying to sort of figure out how long is something going to take. I already have certain amounts of hours. They've baked that into the UI now, so that when you highlight a mission, again, the example given was just Sackboy, but when when you go on a mission that you need to complete, it'll give you an estimate of this should take about 10 minutes to get through, which I think is an incredibly cool feature, mainly because my reference point is something like how long to beat, and I want to know how long something's going to take. However, Jules' point pointed something out when we were talking about it before we started filming, that Sony did patent Sony patented the idea of microtransactions being built into the UI, being built into the firmware, so that, when it pops up and says, hey, this thing takes 10 minutes, it's only one little tweak of the UI to say, oh, but if you had this item, this weapon, this paid for thing, you could go and do it that way. Sony did patent that. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to run with it, but that was where Jules's mind went immediately, was that they're just one step away from, tweaking those numbers and letting you have access to whatever item would get you through that game faster. I hope that never happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that element to pretty much any kind of feature that tells you exactly how much time you've got, or if you can skip a certain section, you know what I mean? But I feel like just fundamentally, like, it's a cool thing to have, like, especially like you said, people like you and me, where we get to like 12 o'clock at night and we're like, I just want to play one more level, and you completely misjudge it every single time. You think it's gonna, you think it's gonna take 20 minutes, and then you're there at 2 a.m. thinking, my God, I've got to get up for work in 5 hours. I am going to die tomorrow. So having, like an actual signifier that says this is going to take 30 minutes of your time, it's going to take 10 minutes of your time, like that is only handy, especially, we're in a very luxury position. Like currently, we've got this job that we get to play games at home. But imagine if you're like gaming on a time budget. You know what I mean? You've got a family, you've got a job that goes into the night or whatever. You only have a certain amount of time to play video games. It's such a great way to kind of schedule that time in, so to know exactly, or a rough estimate, how long something is going to give you, so you can feel like you're getting through something. I know, the days when I don't have that much time to play something, it's always kind of a risk of, well, if I get too into it, am I going to be left off on like a cliffhanger? Will I find a checkpoint? Will I find a save point? And obviously, modern advancements in auto-saving and stuff kind of helps alleviate that. But to be able to have those kind of almost goals in mind, like those challenges and those quests or whatever right there for you to see. Like, again, it makes gaming more accessible, which is just something I am fundamentally here for. And you also mentioned the party chat stuff. That is an absolute godsend, Scott Tailford. I know I'm saying everything here is a godsend, but my PlayStation 4 Pro, he's a good little lad. Like, he plays games really well. He's not dead yet. But the menus on him just absolutely suck, and they take ages to open up a party chat now. And there have been many a time when I've been playing Warzone recently, and I've had to invite a friend to the party, and I've had to back out to the dashboard. I've had to go into the party screen, which just crashes every single time I go on it. It takes like 5 minutes, and then I go back in, and I'm dead. Being able to do all of that in the actual game itself without leaving the game, like, it sounds so simple, but to me, that's just going to make the ease of use that much better.
Yeah, one thing I used to love, they got around this problem on the 360, was that really like stupid looking but brilliant mini keyboard that you could plug into the bottom of the 360 pad.
Yeah.
I used that thing all day long, like on MSN and everything, back in 2006 or whatever, because I want some, like you said, easy solution to keep me in game so I can send messages while I'm doing something. Just playing something like Halo, obviously this is PlayStation news, but talking about Halo, it was like, hunker down behind a rock, type out a little message, send that to a friend, come back into the firefight, and I'm back into it again. And I like the idea in this case of the sort of get around being like, hunker down, find a safe place, maybe if you're online or something, and then bring up the menu, you talk into the controller, which could be some frenzied sort of speech because you're mid-firefight, or just scream into it, hope that the software picks up what you were saying, and then you're back in the game again. Like, ideally that would work, the whole dictation to speech thing. So it is, hopefully that stuff comes together. The other massive thing is that the PlayStation Store is no longer an executable, it's no longer an app from the XMB, it is built into the PS5, which seems like, again, not going to use godsend, going to use cool. It seems very cool.
Yes. Very, very neat, that I thought. Very intriguing. I mean, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with the PlayStation
Well, the thing
Plus
is, to
store
be
at
super
the
quick,
moment, but
they barely showed any of it. They sort of said like, we also have the PlayStation Store, but we don't have any time to show that now. This is just, it's built into the dashboard. Here's Ratchet and Clank, all the tiles are there. We could interact with them, but we're not going to do it because the PlayStation Store's been all over the place, especially if you've been with PlayStation since the PS3 when it came in. They've changed a lot of different versions of that. So I kind of wonder if, baking it into the dashboard means a complete overhaul in regards to how it even accesses thousands of titles of data. That stuff kind of, I guess they have more to show, but like we're only a few weeks away now from launch anyway.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think their entire approach of unifying all of these different apps and all of these different systems into one kind of overall thing like that is something they should have done like 10 years ago, to be honest, but it's good that they're finally getting around to it with the PlayStation app, with the PlayStation messages, with the PlayStation Store and stuff like that, finally integrating everything and into one kind of system while also trying to keep you in game for as long as possible. I just think it's a step in the right direction. Like obviously people like Microsoft, even Nintendo has been doing some similar things in a lot of things better than Sony has for the past few years. So in a lot of ways this is them kind of like catching up to the competition in my opinion. But I mean it's all welcome at the end of the day. It's all of these little quality of life, little changes that I think will just overall have a positive impact on the gaming experience. My big question is, how robust are these going to be, you know, across third parties and stuff like that? Will it just be a handful of first party titles that ends up using these systems, as it often is the case with Sony's weird idiosyncratic features on their consoles? I hope it does get widespread implementation across the board for everything, but I guess that's just something we'll have to, you know, see in time. I do have one question for you though, Scottford. Scottford? Scottford isn't your name, Scott Telford is your name. What do you think about like just visually? Because I love the PS4 XMB entire layout.
Really?
I just think it's visually the creme de la creme. I don't think you'd get any better than that. So for me, this is a slight step back, but only slightly, because you've gone from perfection to something all right.
No, mine is full on. I much prefer this. Like I've never been a huge fan of the XMB. I like the smaller icons on the PS3, although I also preferred that you could customize them on the XMB. You could always go online and download a custom theme. Sony seem to have forgot that they let an entire generation do that, and then just oh, it doesn't matter. We'll just sell you them instead. But still, I want the stuff that maximizes the graphics of the game like the most, like concept art, themes that I can download, wallpapers I can set, etc. So as much as they allowed for that on the PS4, I didn't like that you had this big bar right through the middle of everything. And some themes give you the best option, the best concept art, the best image on the upper screen when you tab up above. And I just didn't like that. I didn't like any of that. I didn't like the framing of it. As someone who's obsessed with Photoshop and, you know, who makes images every day and everything, I want something that maximizes the amount of image on a screen. So for me, and especially when you have the new PS, I keep wanting to call it the PS Now menu, the PS Home menu, has so much real estate, has so much space dedicated to the game. And when you go back to the dashboard, it's much smaller icons at the top. Just give me that, you know, let me have my big 4K Shovel Knight theme, and I want to see every bit of it. I don't want a bar through the middle wiping out the character that I've taken a screenshot of. So for me, it's all around positive, yeah.
Yeah, that does explain everything, because I never had a single theme. I've just used the exact same default one since 2013, and I've just slightly changed the shade of blue. It's a lighter blue. It's a very appealing blue, but I dig it.
You've never changed the theme in 7 years?
No. Well, like I said, I've changed the colour briefly. I think I had the 25th anniversary theme. That's it. That's the only other theme I've had.
When you open this up to the comments, whoever stuck around with this video till the end, let us know in the comments whether you've stuck with the same thing. Because maybe it's me. I change my theme nearly every day. Like whatever game I'm into, I'll change it to whatever that is, whether it's a custom screenshot or a theme, like a specific theme. Let us know in the comments how often you change your PS4 theme. Because you not changing it in 7 years is madness. Absolute madness, Josh Brown. You could have had a lovely little, you know, something amazing in there. You could have had some sort of Sly Raccoon type thing, or something that would have been lovely.
I can't keep up with that. Come on, I'm not. I don't have the patience for that, man.
You're not wrong. But yeah, let us know what you think down in the comments below of the new features of the PS5. Hopefully there's not anything we've missed. I think we got around to everything. I've talked constantly for 10 minutes now, but let us know what you think. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.